Hi everyone, I want to welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Inspired Parsha. This week we're privileged to read Parshas Savo. We're getting closer to the end of the Torah. And there's so many beautiful laws in this week's Parsha, but I like to always focus on just one verse, one pasuk, and look at some of the great Hasidic teachings that we can learn from it. So the verse says, this is in Deuteronomy 26, verse 11, it says, "You shall rejoice with all the good that the Lord your God has given you and your household, you and the Levite and the stranger who is among you." So the pasuk, again, the verse is talking about rejoicing in serving God and getting close to Hashem, getting close to God. And it says with everyone around you, with your household, with the Levite, and with the stranger who is among you. So what does this mean? What are some of the deeper ideas we can learn from this? So the great tzaddik, Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, says, he gives actually two interpretations, and both of them are beautiful and meaningful. He says that the verse talks about two different types of people. It talks about the Leviim, the Levites, and it talks about the stranger who is among you, that both of them you should bring to get closer to God together with you. So what does this mean? The Levite, and according to a lot of the commentaries, this includes the Kohanim, the priests as well, are people that are already spiritual. They're already seeking to get close to Hashem. Everyone knows that that's part of their service, is to get close to Hashem, to do the service in the temple, to bring themselves and the Jewish people closer to Hashem. So you might say that they already seem to be on a higher spiritual level. But the pasuk, the verse also says, not only should you bring them together with you, but also the stranger among you. The stranger could mean different things. It could mean literally gerim, people who used to not be part of the Jewish people and now they are a part of the Jewish people. Unfortunately, a lot of people look at gerim, strangers, people who used to not be part of the Jewish people, as sort of like still outsiders, not really so close to God as naturally born Jews. And the pasuk, the verse, is emphasizing that you don't only bring those who are closer to God, or seem to be closer to God, which is the Levites, but the stranger amongst us as well, the people who are not born Jewish, the people who we think are not necessarily close to God. It's not true. They can be just as close to God as the Levites. You're supposed to bring everyone together with you. Not just those who seem to be more spiritual, but anyone, even people that were strangers. Recently I wrote a book about converts to Judaism. I shared stories from people from all over the world, and one of the common themes that a lot of them told me is that they're still sometimes treated like outsiders. And nothing should be further from the truth, because they are part of the Jewish people, just like naturally born Jews. And to treat them as like outsiders, this pasuk, this verse is telling us don't, because they're just as close as the Levites. Those are people that are spiritually, we might consider to be more close. Both of them you could bring together with you to get closer to Hashem, to get closer to God. Treat them just as you would treat everyone else, even treat them like the Levites. And there's a second interpretation that Rabbi Nachman says. Rabbi Nachman says that this pasuk, this verse, is talking about the two parts of ourselves. The Levites are the part of ourselves that's naturally drawn to Hashem, that's spiritual, so to speak, our spiritual side. And the stranger is the part of us that sometimes feels distant from Hashem, distant from God. So the pasuk, the verse, is telling you that to get close to God and experience the joy of being together with Hashem, being together with God, you have to bring both parts of yourself. You have to bring the part of yourself that is already naturally close to Hashem, close to God, the spiritual part of you, and even those parts of yourselves that feel like strangers, that feel distant, could be maybe your more materialistic side, whatever it might be. Try to bring those closer to Hashem, to God as well. It might be a challenge, but everyone can do that. That is the way to experience the joy of spiritual connection. I want to wish everyone over here a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos Kodesh. Thank you for joining me.